Molokaʻi's residents have learned from the overdevelopment of other Hawaiian islands. Their economic stability crumbled when the pineapple industry left the island in the 70s. Today, despite hardships, the community is giving rise to their own plans for economic growth. Their commitment is to their natural resources, their island lifestyle, and their culture.
These areas have continued to fish and gather and to hunt in accordance with traditional approaches and methods, and using the ancestral knowledge about fish habitats, about the impact or influence of the moon and on the tides, on how fish feed at different seasons, when do they spawn, what is their life cycle. All of the traditional knowledge from the ancestors has been important in making subsistence a practical day-to-day part of their livelihoods.
A lot of our harvesting from the ocean and from the mountains, if we get a lot, we trade with, or we share with family and friends. I get a lot of requests from people, a lot of times for, hey boy, drop off some fish if you get any. I say, oh, no problem, auntie or uncle. I bring some fish over when I get them. So we do that a lot here. Drop off fish, or they come by and get some when they know I'm out there fishing. A lot of my growing up was with my grandfather, and we did hunting and fishing. So that became my hobby, and I got really good at hunting and fishing. And then I turned that into a business. I want to show you all the sacrificial pits here where people leave whole kupus to the gods. It's called Ili Ili Opai Heiau. And so I like to show visitors the sheer size of it, which is amazing, and to see the construction that went into this heiau without any kind of modern day equipment. Visitors and local people come here and they present whole kupus to the gods. Right here you can see the sacrificial pits. The tea leaf is a significance of that. I've seen tea leaf leis, jewelry, money, crystals, all kind of fruits, anything you can offer to the gods. And they live here with a good feeling. And the lookout from here is you have a different perspective of Mapuleho Valley. A nice clear shot of the whole heiau. And you can look at the whole valley, looking at the different trees and the different colors. You get to see the reef outlines, and you get to see some fish ponds, and you get to see some fish powder that is knocked down a long time ago.
In one of the 70 fish ponds at line Molokaʻi's south shore, one group of Hawaiian families hopes to turn limu, or seaweed cultivation, into a small business.
Part of our alternatives is to look at a sound economic base and not rely on tourism activities or tourist-related projects that would take away from the subsistence and the cultural lifestyle that's so prevalent here in Molokaʻi. Much of the project we're involved with is the production of one of the most valued limus available on the market, which commands the largest amount.
What happens here, it grows out to maybe about a foot, and then we harvest it and then we send it to market. Last year we sent some to Tamashiro Market and there was paying about $3 a pound.
So we've been involved with educating ourselves on how to develop methods that this limo can grow within cultivated means.
We want to have the Gracilaria parvispora, which is also known as the long ogo. This is very rare. There used to be many natural sites along Oahu and many of the other islands. Right now, this is currently only growing on Molokaʻi, which makes it so special.
Much of the education we've done is in workshop education with the limo itself. We will be responsible with providing each family with materials to develop their own prototype baskets or what would do best in their own environment, and also the seed stock. We anticipate that by the end of the third year that we would be able to produce as much as 2,000 pounds of this Gracilaria. In addition to direct marketing of this limo, we're looking at other products that we want to produce that would be equally available in the backyards of much of our families.
People that are really pushing it the most are small family type groups. They're not interested in becoming very rich with these ponds, but they're very interested in feeding their families with these ponds.
With more than $100,000 in permits and consultants required to rebuild fish ponds, restoring them is impossible without state assistance. But men like William Kalipi Sr. and his son are willing to put in the back-breaking work.
Right now, if you look at all the ponds, because of mismanagement, the overgrowth, for bring back one pond, it will be real costly pertaining for any individual person, unless it's a conglomerate developer who can come in and do his strip, not for the intent of the culture, but the intent of money. We're doing this not for money. We're doing this so we get food that we can put on our table.
I guess the only way me and my dad look at it for us guys move forward is we gotta do what our ancestors did long time ago. We gotta go backwards.
The fish pond is a part of my family's tradition, only in the restoration, renovating the pond. If you look at the walls, every rock has a significance to the fish pond by tradition. So as you place the stone, each stone get its place on the wall itself. Because the fish pond is a living culture. It provides food. It's also a temple of worship. So for Revive the Ponds, if I look at the pond in itself and I ask myself, what Molokaʻi in general get to offer? We get all the ponds. And we're the only island in the state that has this identity of all the fish ponds.
Molokaʻi wasn't always known as the friendly isle. It was once known as Molokaʻi, land of the fat fish and kukui nut relish. And that meant that throughout all the islands, Molokaʻi was always known as a food-producing place. I mean, great armies would come here and they would get fed with no problem. And that was because of the fish ponds and our great taro patches.
This is my expression to bringing the Hawaiians back to where they came from. This is even getting closer to the earth. This is underneath. So now that my feet is under the mud and my hands go under the mud, you get that spiritual feeling that, this was going on since the Hawaiians came. So that's where the feeling comes from the inside. Is that I'm doing something maybe one of my grandparents who was here at one time was doing, yeah. But it took me, half of my lifetime, maybe more than half of my lifetime to realize where my roots are, yeah. It gives them something to look at that is part of their culture. It's how I feel. I'm not sure if any of my children will be a taro patch grower. Hopefully one of them will be, so when I'm old, I get to eat poi without going to the shelf and buying it. That's a big thing for me, is I'd like to see somebody around in the area, if not one of my kids, somebody else's kids, to take over these loʻis when we're done, yeah? So that's where the start comes, the ohana concept. Not only my close family, but also everybody else around the area. I'm gonna cut some of this taro now, show you guys how it's done. Normally we cut the bottom to check if there's any rotting. This one looks like a perfect taro, so it goes in a bucket.
The new field that Eddie and his partner Jim Callahan are planting contains more than the next generation of taro.
But what we did find out, now that we're on our second year, is that the fingerlings are here. And what the loʻis do is it produces a safe house for them.
Though based in traditional lore, the use of taro patches as fish nurseries is still experimental.
Can you walk in front of me and just drop some plants? Yeah, drop some plants in front of me. Just drop the plants, keep walking. It's very important to our culture that we keep the taro growing. By growing all this taro, the taro needs pure water, the fish in the stream needs that pure water. If we lose the purity of the water, we're going to be losing our life.
The stream is your first one. You must get acquainted with the water, and you must make a path for the water so it doesn't flood on the land. When you have that water directed the way it should go, then you come back on the land and you start working.
When Mr. and Mrs. Kalua returned to Molokaʻi in 1978, they cleared the land in order to cultivate a variety of dryland taro.
Trees were growing here and there and everywhere, and we thought it was really a hopeless task. But little by little, we changed the whole place, and it was fun doing it. I'm from Kansas, and I love the land. Just to do things and see things grow is fun for me.
This is her design of the way of planting. This method here, your taro matures early, then in the water. In water, you will run from 12 to 15 months. We harvest over here between 6 to 8 months. It's more table use size. When you work with taro, you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy, you think it's work, or you already are finished. You cannot say, oh, it's too much work, forget it. It's your enjoyment, you love it. In everything that you do, you gotta enjoy and don't rush. Don't be pressured. The old folks knows if you start on a key point of developing the land, as you work, you will develop wisdom. It'll come gradually, and the vision gets clearer, and then the more you keep working, it gets more clear. Pretty soon, you turn it into paradise.
I've lived off the land for a long time, not 100% off the land. Some people here do, but I don't. We're sitting in 3/4 of an acre of pink ginger. In addition to that, we grow 5 or 6 other varieties of ginger, ornamental ginger, in addition to about 51 or 2 varieties of heliconia. The farming here is fabulous. You're at a very distinct disadvantage, though, because on Molokaʻi we don't have an international airport. So all the flowers have to go through either Kahului or Honolulu International to get to the mainland. But that's the only downside. All the rest is upside. There's a lot of land. There's great available people to work that just do wonderful, wonderful work here. Some of our flowers stay on island at Flores, and others go to Honolulu. About 60% of the flowers in this farm go to the mainland, though. Agriculture, diversified agriculture, is definitely a part of our economy. And I would very much like to see that continue with as little infrastructure leaning toward hotels and condos as possible. This is the last vestige of Hawaiiana as it used to be that there is. And I feel very strongly that it should stay that way.
Well, I've been teaching the hula here on Molokaʻi for over 30 years. Then my sister came along and I taught her, and now she's the alakaʻi to me, but now she is going to be the kumuhula for Moana Sulahalau. We come from the Duduwa family, and we've been here on this island all our lives. We were born and raised here, and we love it here. We don't plan to move from this island. What we do, we teach the hula for free. what we do to instill the hula in the girls, we try to make them feel that to get their heritage back. Most of them have lost where they came from. So what we instill in them is the Hawaiian language and the Hawaiian dancing. Mostly the dancing from the inner feeling of their heart. That's what we try to instill in our dancers. And the girls have proven to themselves. We have been to the Monarch twice, and we have placed really high. To make a living on Molokaʻi, it's pretty hard. Some of us have to get about 3 or 4 jobs in order to make ends meet. I, for instance, have 3 jobs. I run the school bus business, and I work for the County of Maui during the regular time, and then I work also for Hotel Molokaʻi. And doing these 3 jobs, it just barely makes me get through. And I don't want to leave this island because I was born and raised here, and the people, the love for each other is it's thicker than blood, and I love it.
Artists and craftspeople also make use of the land's abundant resources.
The whole weekend is spent on just picking shells for camping. And we picked them on the west end of the island. And I got shells that Ni'ihau has. We have our own shells. So it's pretty neat. Taking my family, we all sit down and we have good fun with picking shells and swimming and getting together, just being a family. Next year, Hula Piko, I plan to bring out my leis and show everybody what I did with them. I've got black-eyed Susies, they call these. That's what they are. They're hard to come across. I only came across one place on Molokaʻi that has them. And I'm drilling them one by one, holding the seeds, kind of drilled my fingers at doing them, but the outcome is beautiful. This is one of my pride and joys right now. My featherwork is something that I adore because of the beauty of what they look like. I just love doing them. That's just it. I just like doing these.
A lot of the wood that we use as the mango, the opuma wood, the monkey pod wood, on the east end of the island, there's huge trees out there and people are clearing lots. And they bulldoze it, or they go in and they'll cut it down, or hire someone to cut it down, and then they go, well, what do I do with it? And that's when we come in with a chainsaw mill.
Once you start cutting into it, it's almost like an explosion of color. It's not the explosion in the range of blues and greens that you get from looking out at nature, but it's the explosion of the browns and the rusts and the pinks and the yellows and sometimes oranges running through it.
Working with her partner, Patty McCartney, Nancy finds the images in the wood, and Patty brings out their luster.
As you work it down, and in the rough stages, you really don't see it at all. But you know it's there, and you just trust that this is what is meant to be. What's really going to show the piece off is what's in this grain. So to me, it's all kind of a
I support her in that. We're intuitively in different spaces the way we deal with the business, and it seems to work. We've been together for 7 years. The business is progressing incredibly. When we work on a piece of furniture, we sit down and we design it together. We work with the customer together collectively.
Okay, well, we're getting ready to deliver this piece. We've worked on it now for a couple months.
And I think that I'm very fortunate to be able to take an item that most people consider worthless, a big old tree they just want to get rid of, and create something beautiful that gives people pleasure out of it. And I don't believe I can do that any place but here.
Because I wouldn't have been a woodworker, probably, without being here. And to me, it's helped me find what I feel is my God-given talent.
As we mold the wood, well, it molds us too. So Molokaʻi, in its own essence, is molding me. And it's good, and I like it.
Molokaʻi Ranch has been an economic mainstay for island residents. Covering 1/3 of Molokaʻi's 158,000 acres, it is the home of the island's paniolo.
I'm the third generation in my family to be a paniolo. My grandfather was the original cowboys at Molokaʻi Ranch. And we kind of grew up into the life in Molokaʻi. In my days, it was pineapple or being a cowboy. And of course, being with my family influence, I became a cowboy. And I've been with Molokaʻi Ranch for 27 years now. And I like the open country, the outdoors, the opportunity. We're working with animals such as horses and cattle, and then we'll send them all out to the market. And whatever income they bring in, it's what we feed our families, and this is what we make our life of. We're so used to in this country life. We run food, we'll go out, we do our own hunting for our excess deer. We got sheep, we got goats, we got pigs, we got meat we're taking care of, and fishing is tremendous amount of fishing around here. So, you know, Molokaʻi can take care of her own.
Mac Poi Poi works part-time as a fireman, but his passion is thrown at fishing, a tradition he is passing on to his children.
I teach my kids, take only what you're going to eat, what is necessary. The knowledge that was passed on to my dad, he brought with him from Maui, and he practiced all that stuff he learned right here at Mo'omomi. And he raised 15 children, 15 kids in our family. And a lot of the time we was growing up, we survived off this ocean. All my life I fished down here, and it seemed like in the last 15, 20 years, I seen one big change come about as far as depletion. Right over here, this little bay where the kids swim is a perfect example. When I was growing up, that's where we used to dive. And had lobsters, he'e, kumu, plenty of fish. If you jump in that ocean right now, right in that bay, I wish you luck. You're not going to see too many fish, in fact. The biggest problem we face as far as preserving our place is people coming from off island. They come over here with their big boats, and they're not coming for recreation. They're coming to fill a boat up and go back with unload so that they can make plenty of money. A lot of people, they take it for granted. They say, oh, we've been doing this for years, get plenty. But actually, they don't have any sense of measure as to how much fish is left. That's another problem we face. The locals themselves, us. We gotta learn how to take our place. Number one is take what you're gonna eat. No catch what you're not gonna eat. If you're not gonna eat them, you throw them back. And I teach my kids. I teach them when to fish, what the timing, the tides and all that. All the different types of fish, where you can catch them. And I'm real proud of my kids. They're pretty akamai about all these things. A lot of the stories that come back to me, I guess a lot of the people that was here on the homestead during the war years, they can relate to this. They closed this place off. This was a bombing target area, this whole coastline. Because we had such a big family, my dad never had choice. He used to come down here, even while the planes were flying over, dropping the bombs, catch his fish for feed the kids. And in that respect, I have a lot of respect for my dad. He was hardcore. He was a survivor. He walked from where I live today. They walked on the beach, they duck the bullets, they catch their fish, and they walk back home. I don't know if people can realize what kind of life they was going through at that time, but I can picture all that in my mind. Today, when I go down this beach, I think about all that, the hardships they had to go through in order to catch the fish. So I don't take things for granted. We should do something about it.